Hello and welcome to another video here at AV Forums. My name is Steve Withers, I'm the Assistant Editor of AV Forums, and I've been a professional reviewer and calibrator for nearly a decade, and I'm fully qualified and certified by THX and also by the ISF. In this video I'm going to show you my recommended settings for the Philips 55 POS 9002 4K OLED TV. Now I should stress, of course, these settings are based upon the TV that I calibrated and reviewed. They may not be applicable for your TV, but they're certainly worth trying. Most of them are actually fairly general. So let's start by going into the settings menu and then select all settings. And then we go to picture style. And I'm going to show you a number of different settings. I'm going to show you a nighttime setting, a daytime setting, and a game mode setting. So let's start with the nighttime setting. And under color, you select 50. Contrast, now this is actually the brightness of the panel, and this you can set to 36. This is suitably bright for watching TV at night time in a room with ambient light, or maybe using the ambilight feature on this TV. You can use it to create some bias light behind the TV, very useful feature actually. So contrast 36, sharpness 0, brightness 50. Under the advanced settings, computer off. Color, now color temperature, for this setting I'm going to use the custom setting, which I've calibrated. So let's go down to custom color temperature. Here you can see the settings. There's 2-point control, so the high settings are 127 for red, 111 for green, 77 for blue, and the low settings are 5 for red, -7 for green, and 3 for blue. And also under the color control, I tweaked a few things here. So hue settings have been slightly tweaked for yellow +3, green -3, and magenta -2. And also there was a slight tweak on the saturation for blue at 3. Under contrast mode optimized for picture. HDR upscale, and this is basically a fake HDR mode, and it defaults on all the settings when you get the TV out of the box. So make sure you turn it off unless you want to see a picture that's oversaturated and has too much brightness control settings and this sort of stuff. So my recommendation, leave it off. Perfect contrast off. Video contrast, you can leave it 100, the TV doesn't clip. Light sensor off, and gamma we're using +3, which gives us a gamma of 2.4, which is our target for a nighttime setting. Sharpness ultra resolution off. Picture clean mode, so we've got noise reduction, you can turn that off, and MPEG artifact reduction, also turn that off. Now under motion, the TV will default to the movie mode, but that does apply some frame interpolation, makes things look a bit smooth. So I'd recommend for movies, film-based content, TV dramas, that kind of thing, motion start off, but feel free to experiment with the other settings for things like sport, for example. Right, so that's our nighttime setting. Let's now go back up to picture style, across and up to ISF day, and then down to color 50 again. Contrast is now at 60, so the panel's brighter. The idea is, of course, to have a brighter setting during the day when there's more ambient light in the room. Sharpness is again at 0, brightness at 50, advanced, computer off, color temperature, we got to warm this time. So I'm using the warm color temperature, which was very accurate out of the box and will certainly be good enough for the daytime settings. So just use that, and there wasn't any need to use the color control. So now we go into contrast mode optimized for picture again, HDR upscaling off, perfect contrast off, video contrast again at 100, light sensor off, and gamma this time is at -1, which gives me a gamma of 2.2, which is our target for a daytime setting. Sharps control, ultra resolution off, picture clean, noise reduction off, MPEG artifact reduction off. And again, under motion, it will default to movie, but I recommend turning it off for film-based content and then experimenting with it for any sort of things like sports, for example. Okay, so that's our daytime setting. We'll go back up to picture style, across, up to game, and now back in color again is at 50. Contrast is the same as a daytime setting, so 60. Brightness 0, sharpness 0, sorry. Brightness is at 50. Advanced, computer off. Color temperature, we're using warm again, which is closest to the industry standard anyway. And then for contrast, again, contrast mode optimized for picture, HDR upscaling off, perfect contrast off, video contrast at 100, light sensor off, and this time we're using a gamma of 0. Sharpness, ultra resolution off, picture clean, noise reduction off, MPEG artifact reduction off. And then, as you can see in the game mode, the motion features aren't actually an option, you can't select them. The idea being, of course, is to minimize the amount of processing to keep the input lag as low as possible. Okay, so that's our settings for a nighttime setting, a daytime setting, and also for a game mode setting. We're now going to switch the input to HDR, and we'll show you a couple of settings for HDR, one for movies and one for gaming. Okay, we're now sending an HDR signal, so let's go back into the settings menu, all settings. As you can see now, it's got HDR movie, HDR game, etc. So we're using HDR movie, color setting at 50, contrast is now at 100, sharpness still at 0, brightness still at 50. Under the advanced settings, color enhancement off and color temperature warm. Contrast mode, optimize the picture again. HDR perfect, leave that off. Video contrast is now at 70. Light sensor off and gamma is at 0. Sharpness, ultra resolution off. Picture clean, noise reduction off, and MPEG artifact reduction off. And again, motion styles, you have options, but I'd leave it off for film-based content. And now if we go back to picture style again, we can just nip over to the HDR game mode. For HDR gaming, again, color 50, contrast at 100, sharpness at 0, brightness at 50 under the advanced settings. Color we're using color enhancement off, color temperature warm. And the contrast mode, optimize the picture. HDR perfect off, video contrast is at 100. Light sensor is off, and gamma at 0. And then the sharpness, ultra resolution off, picture clean, noise reduction off, and MPEG artifact reduction off. And again, motion isn't an option here because they're trying to keep the processing as low as possible. So there you have it. We have settings for day and night and gaming in SDR, and also settings for HDR movie watching and HDR gaming. Hopefully you found this video useful, and if you have, then please like and subscribe. And don't forget, you can find more news, reviews, articles and videos like this at avforums.com, Europe's largest home entertainment community. Thanks for watching.